Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Divyanka and I'm a doctor of pharmacy here in the US. On this channel, I strive to provide both you and I resources to help live our best and most productive life. Today we are talking about LinkedIn and specifically if you are in the job market. If you're looking for a new position and are actively interviewing, there are a lot of things you can do on LinkedIn to optimize your profile, make sure that it's being seen, put yourself in situations where there might be more opportunity, and of course, network. So we're going to talk about all of those things today and talk about the specific things you can do to, again, optimize LinkedIn within your job search process. Now, the first step is, of course, to make a LinkedIn profile. So if you don't have one, please create one. It is the number one thing that everyone should definitely have in the 21st century. As a professional, that's just a non-negotiable. I know a lot of people are getting sick and tired of LinkedIn. It's getting more like other social media platforms and people are starting to not like that. But I would really encourage you to look at the upsides, the positives, all the benefits that LinkedIn can really bring you. There's a lot of them and I speak from personal experience. So I hope this is enough to convince you to create a LinkedIn profile if you haven't already. Now, after making your profile and setting it all up, when you're job seeking, you can actually now set that as a setting on your profile. If you go to your profile, you scroll down to right below your picture, there should be an area that says and asks you if you want to let recruiters and other people know you're job searching. This is a really, really neat feature that LinkedIn rolled out not too long ago, and I've actually used it myself. I've used it just to experiment because even when I wasn't job searching, I turned it on and recruiters did start coming through my messages. So there are two settings. You can let everyone know you're job searching or you can only let recruiters know. I really like the only recruiters feature because again, those are the people who it really matters to. And especially on LinkedIn, they will kind of get that notification. You'll be pulled into the group where they're kind of looking at that again because of these new settings that LinkedIn has rolled out. So it's a super, super helpful feature and the first thing that you should just turn on if you're job seeking. The next thing I would do is just like your resume, add some keywords of job descriptions that you're looking at or looking to get into your profile. Now, whether that's in your heading, whether that's in your objective, whether that's under your experiences as your little bullet points, whatever it is, again, this is your resume. So act like it. Make sure you're doing all the things that you do to your resume to your LinkedIn profile. Now, even though I said use keywords, really be specific about this and intentional. Don't just use buzzwords because they're buzzwords and everyone wants to hear them. Like, don't use the word cross-functional. I'm done with that word. But again, there are keywords that you can utilize to your benefit. So try to stay away from the cliches, but still be able to show your value and add those keywords to show up. Again, for recruiters if they're searching for those things. Maybe LinkedIn has some kind of matching thing. I don't really know, but I really think this can help. My next tip is to utilize all the groups on LinkedIn. Now, I, of course, am in the pharmaceutical industry, and so most of my searches have been for the pharma industry, but I can assume and imagine that there are groups for every single industry out there on LinkedIn. And I don't even mean bigger industries, the specifics, pharma industry, PharmDs, regulatory affairs, medical writing, things like that. There are many groups on LinkedIn, and I would say utilize them to the best of your ability. That's a great way to get networking. It's a great way to meet like-minded people. It's a great way to get in touch with people that you might want to add to your network. There's literally endless benefits, and I don't see any downside to joining these groups, but put the effort into looking for those groups, seeing what they actually have to offer, maybe engage in conversation again if that's something that you want to do or if it's interesting to you. It all really helps your overall profile. And again, the more people you talk to, the more groups you put yourself in, you're opening more and more opportunities, or at least possible opportunities for yourself. And speaking of engaging in these groups, I would 100% encourage that. Don't just like things or be a part of the group and just not do anything about it. If you have something something exciting to share, an article, something you saw, share it. If somebody says something really interesting in the group, reach out to them directly and let them know, like, hey, I saw your post in this group, was really interesting, would love to connect and kind of continue this conversation. Again, it's a really good way to network because you're kind of confined to that group. You can easily say, hey, I found you through that group, and that gives you a natural touch point already instead of being like, oh, hey, I'm a stranger. So again, groups can really, really help as long as you use them to your benefit. My next tip is to always and continuously keep editing your LinkedIn and keep it relevant. Again, just like your resume, you want it to highlight the best things about you. And honestly, right now, when I'm going into an interview and I'm the candidate, I LinkedIn stalk the person who's about to interview me. And I'm pretty sure every person does that too. Whether you're interviewing or being interviewed, you are looking these people up on LinkedIn. So honestly, just as much as your resume matters, your profile really does matter. So keep it relevant. Do the same thing that I talk about in resume editing. Make sure whatever is just not relevant to what you're looking for, take it out. Nobody needs to know that. Don't be afraid to take things out. It really just helps the reader focus on what you want them to focus on. It's incredibly important to do this. Again, nobody is spending hours on your LinkedIn profile, so make it relevant, make it short, make it sweet and succinct, and get the point that you want across. My next tip is to use LinkedIn strategically in terms of what comes on your feed. I feel like, again, a lot of people are getting really frustrated with how LinkedIn is getting to be like other social media platforms. But I think a little part of that is not curating your feed in the correct way. A lot of us just connect with the people that go to school with us or that work with us, and that's all fine. But I think that's really where that toxicness of LinkedIn comes in. Follow the right companies. Follow companies you want to work for. Follow the right people. There are a lot of good people on LinkedIn. Follow them so that, again, whenever they have something relevant to share, that's what shows up on your feed. Nobody is obligated to connect with you or follow on LinkedIn. Don't feel bad about not connecting with people. It's totally okay. If you want to connect with them and don't want them on your feed, you can mute them. There's another setting for that. You can do all of that. But again, make sure that what you actually are going for, what you want to surround yourself with in terms of information, is what you sign up for and follow on LinkedIn. Again, that's going to curate your feed. Then as you're seeing that every day, the right information is kind of going to get to you. So this is, I think, really, really important. And I don't think enough people do this. The last benefit of this is actually the job part. You know, when you're following companies or people and individuals that you would like to be around, like to follow, like to work for, when they have job openings or when they have open positions, most likely they will post about it. And again, because you're following them, it'll show up on your feed. So it's in your personal best interest to follow people who you're actually interested in so that, again, it just helps you overall. My next tip is to create your own LinkedIn custom URL. So what I mean by this is in the URL box up above where you type your www, my LinkedIn link is linkedin.com/Divyanka Gupta. Now, this is something you can easily do. You just go into settings and change your URL. And of course, I'd recommend changing it to your name, or if you have a common name, something along the lines of that, like your professional email. I think it's incredibly helpful because I put my LinkedIn URL everywhere. I put it on my resume. And when someone can just say, okay, yeah, linkedin.com/Divyanka Gupta, that's so easy to get to. So it's a really nice kind of final touch. It comes off as really, really professional. And I just like it. It's just clean. It's just nice. I like those types of things. So if you're into that, or if you just take my word for it, I think it really is a really nice touch. My next tip is to make sure, again, just like your resume, that your LinkedIn is complete. So don't just like leave gaps. Make sure the reader understands what your story is, and make sure that you're always focusing on that top portion. So the top of LinkedIn on your profile has your picture, your objective, your title, your cover image, things like that. Just like a resume, that's probably the first thing someone's gonna see on your profile, and not many people are gonna scroll all the way down to the bottom. So when you're creating your profile, keep that in mind. make sure the top of your profile especially is just pristine. Again, you want to think about your holistic picture. Your resume should match your LinkedIn profile, and that should match your personality when you sit in that interview and talk to the person. So make it all kind of come full circle for these people. Lay it out for them. Show them your value in so many different ways that they have no reason to say no to you. My next tip is kind of regarding that top portion, and it is that cover image. I've seen so many profiles where that cover image is actually blank or it's some random picture. That's fine, that's professional, but it's kind of a tool that you can really use to your benefit. So do something different with it. I mean, for me, of course, I have my FocusRx logo there, and that's just what makes sense for me. But if I didn't have a brand of sorts, I might put my objective on my cover image or something that really matters to me, but just something that, again, adds to that full profile. That cover image takes space, and it's gonna take space regardless. So you might as well use that space to give another boost to the things that you want to highlight. My last tip is to make sure that you're actually formulating your LinkedIn profile to where you want to go. So what I mean by that is it's really easy to create a LinkedIn profile about yourself, what you've done. Okay, great. But that might not be forward looking. You're just highlighting what you've done. Take the time, take the effort to sit and say, okay, if my goal is this position, what do I need to look like? What do I need to be like to get there? And then once you've identified those things, you can really look at the difference, that delta between where you are now and what your ideal is, again, in terms of overall role, LinkedIn profile, all of those things, and then highlight those things on your LinkedIn profile to make it forward looking. So what I mean by this is if I'm a student, I'm going to graduate in 2 to 3 months, I'm looking for a job, and I'm looking for a job in the marketing industry, specifically branding for skincare brands. That's something that's my goal. I want to make sure that I don't just come across as any student. I come across as a student that has all this experience, all this background, went to school here, and these are my intentions. I want to get to this industry, I want to get to this position. All of those things should be very interrelated and highlighted thoroughly on your LinkedIn profile. When your profile is forward looking like that, it's really easy for someone to come in and be like, oh yeah, okay, this person has this experience, they want to do this. Great, I might have an opening that could fit that. Let me reach out to them. So again, it's about creating that whole story, about creating that whole profile, and it's extremely, extremely important. So take the time to really identify all the things that are going to help you to make that profile forward looking. Those were my tips in what you should do if you are currently job seeking or looking to search for new jobs and you want to optimize your use of LinkedIn. Again, I love LinkedIn. It has given me so much. I have met so many people through LinkedIn. I've never met them in person, but we've had great conversations. They support the work that I do. I support the work they do. It's a great, fantastic community. But again, it takes effort to curate that. So I really encourage everyone to do that. As always, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you guys have any follow-up questions, don't be afraid to leave them in the comments below or reach out to me via email as always. Lastly, if you guys enjoyed this or found it helpful, please don't be afraid to share this with someone who might need it. Give it a thumbs up because it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe if you haven't already. That is it for me today, and you guys will see me in the next video.